9 months with Ajahn Spam Hass.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hasanabi broadcast coming to you live from not so sunny, partly cloudy California, Los Angeles, and we are live, folks. I'm just gonna fucking give you guys like the brief update. But in Brooklyn Center, the police fatally shot someone who's 20 years old. Okay, and this is happening. This happened while the Derek Chauvin trial is still ongoing. Now, Brooklyn Center is in Minneapolis, right? If I'm not mistaken. This is like very, very close to where the George Floyd murder took place. Police very quickly reached out, or police very quickly went. It was like 10 minutes north. Yeah, it's a suburb. It's like one town over. So basically what ended up happening is there was a police stop, from what I understand, where Daunte Wright, who's 20 years old and black, was at a police stop. He gets shot at the stop, okay, at a traffic stop. He gets shot at the traffic stop. He drives away and he dies while in the process of driving away. And his girlfriend's in the car. His mother literally fucking calls ahead of time. There were immediately fucking protests that erupted into more aggressive protests that turned into some would consider riots, okay? Which is, again, completely understandable considering the fact that this literally happened 10 minutes away from the original George Floyd murder, while the literal George Floyd murder trial is still happening, with Derek Chauvin and his defense attorneys actively vilifying a victim every single fucking day in a court of law, trying to get a murderous police officer off on murder. Okay? So let's take a look at what. So immediately, once these protests started, and because of the volatility of the event itself, obviously, cops were very quick, like surprisingly quick, not usual for situations like this, to immediately say, this is the body camera footage. And from what I understand, literally while I was waiting for more information to come out, they already came out and talked about, in the last like half hour before I started streaming while I was showering, that the officer accidentally discharged their lethal weapon, thinking that it was their taser, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to take a look at that in a second. It's a terrible fucking, terrible defense. Absolutely disgusting. And another person has been murdered, and their parent, their mother, Daunte's mother, was on the phone, from what I understand, in his final moments, as his girlfriend was informing her of what was going on.
With the protests erupting once again on the streets of Minnesota, this time in a Minneapolis suburb, after a fatal police shooting. 20-year-old Daunte Wright killed during a traffic stop, and overnight, police in body armor using gas and flashbang grenades to clear crowds. All this occurring not far from where former officer Derek Chauvin is on trial, charged with murdering George Floyd. Alex Perez is there with the very latest. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Michael. The trial of Derek Chauvin continues here at the courthouse later this morning. Now, tensions were already high in the area, but this latest police shooting has escalated that, many taking to the streets in protest.
Oh my God.
For the record, a taser weighs about 8 ounces, okay? It's much shorter, much smaller, whereas a Glock, especially a fully loaded Glock, it weighs around 31.39 ounces. There's the bright yellow on a taser. This is what a fucking taser looks like. I don't know what a police-issued taser might look like. This is a civilian one, I believe, that I'm looking at. I think a police-issued taser is actually even more yellow than a regular taser, specifically because like they want to showcase that it's not a lethal weapon. It's the less than lethal weapon. You know what I mean? So I'm just going through this and doing my due diligence at the very least. The taser weight is 8 ounces, as I mentioned already. A fully loaded Glock, on the other hand, is 31.39 ounces. I don't think they're even on the same side of your utility belt, specifically so that you literally don't pull it out on accident.
Overnight, protest erupted in Brooklyn Center, a suburb of Minneapolis, after a fatal police shooting of a black man during a traffic stop. The Minnesota National Guard deployed. Daunte Wright! Daunte Wright! Police deploying tear gas to clear the crowds.
Oh! More flashbang grenades.
The incident beginning just before 2 p.m. on Sunday when officers pulled a car over for a traffic violation. According to the Brooklyn Center Police Department, the driver, who had an outstanding warrant, tried to get back in the vehicle while officers were making an arrest. An officer then shot the driver, the car driving for several blocks before crashing into another vehicle. Police say paramedics attempted life-saving measures, but the driver was pronounced dead at the scene. Governor Tim Walz tweeting, "Our state mourns another life of a black man taken by law enforcement." Tensions very quickly rising. Before nightfall, protesters carrying Black Lives Matter signs seen here clashing with police. Protesters also seen.
So here's the thing. When this happens, understandably, people that have been pushed to literally the last, like, their last stand, their final stand in this circumstance where they're looking for any amount of justice to be served. When this sort of thing happens and you immediately see retaliation from the police, from the people in that vicinity, in that region, protesting police brutality, and you rush to go, oh my God, I can't believe that fucking cop cars are being attacked. If that's your go-to, if that's your main focus, then it honestly seems like you just don't give a shit about justice at all, and more so are looking for any excuse to vilify people protesting police brutality. They're not going to protest in the way that you expect them to, especially considering that this is an ongoing issue that has not been fucking resolved at all, and rarely does justice ever get served, okay?
Jumping on cars, even using cinder blocks to smash windows on a police vehicle. Katie Wright, the mother of the driver who
He had a warrant out for his arrest. While police are trying to cuff him, he tries to jump back in his car. You don't know what someone is doing when they jump in that car. It's a split-second decision made in a stressful scenario. 99.999% of people will never understand. What's a good thing you're probably in the 99.999% of people as well, especially considering the fact that the police are literally looking to make an argument as to why they thought it was a fucking non-lethal weapon and it was an accidental discharge. So here's the thing I don't understand. Do you work for the Fraternal Order of Police or something? Do you work for the fucking police unions? Why are you doing PR and also legal defense for free for police officers that themselves are not even fucking rushing to defend in this way? And even then, if that happened, okay, does he deserve to fucking die? Absolutely not. This notion that like all of this warrants an execution in a country where we're supposed to have due process, but instead routinely cops will be the judge, jury, and executioner in any given legal circumstance is fucking psychotic to me, okay? Go live in Saudi Arabia, motherfucker, if that's what you want. I'm sorry, dude. Seriously. That is straight up un-American. That is not what America is supposed to be about, okay? That is not what America is supposed to be about. You cannot fucking advocate for a cop to literally fucking play judge, jury, executioner in these sort of circumstances and then simultaneously talk about how patriotic you are, okay? In theory, that is not what America is about. In practice, that is exceptionally what America is about, specifically as it pertains to marginalized communities being on the other receiving end of the barrel of the gun. Of course. However, like I said, it is not what America is supposed to be about in theory, so shut the fuck up.
who was shot identified her son as 20-year-old Daunte Wright. His family telling ABC News that he was a good kid and loved being a father to his son Daunte Jr., seen in this photo being held by Wright's brother at the protest.
He called me at about 1:40, that he was getting pulled over by the police.
And I said, well, why did you get pulled over? He said they pulled him over because he had air fresheners hanging from the rearview mirror. I don't want everybody out here chanting and screaming and yelling. I just want him home. That's it.
And authorities are investigating this latest shooting and say the police officers involved do wear body cams. Michael?
All right.
So yeah, they were very quick. Yeah, he had a son. Yes. 20-year-old, had a son, fucking dead now.
Alex, all of this is going on just 10 miles from where George Floyd died. And the trial of former officer Derek Chauvin resumed this morning. What are jurors going to hear this morning?
For the record, when you see a black person and you see, oh, he had an arrest warrant, I need you to understand, like, that shit literally could be for a misdemeanor traffic violation, okay? That could be for a moving violation that you forgot to pay your fine on. I'm just letting you know. This is how some of those circumstances are like, okay? You could have a misdemeanor moving violation that goes unaddressed or unresolved, and all of a sudden, you didn't know that you had to go to a fucking court and get it handled with. You didn't know you had to go to fucking, traffic court or some shit. So your immediate jump to the conclusion that, like, oh, this person had a fucking arrest warrant, so he needs to be executed, is psychotic. And that's a lot of the motivating reasons for why cops behave the way that they do, because they know that a majority of people, the Back to Blue crowd specifically, immediately assume, like, oh, he has an arrest warrant. Like, black person, arrest warrant, fucking criminal thug, execution warranted. Obviously, duh. Warrants are super fucking common, okay? You, motherfuckers, might have an arrest warrant right now. You literally might have a warrant out right now without even knowing that you have one out. For the reasons that I just mentioned, it could literally be a fucking unpaid fine that you didn't realize. You should not be executed for this. You should not be executed in any of these circumstances, regardless. Like,
Yeah, Michael, the trial resumes here later this morning. Prosecutors are expected to call George Floyd's brothers to testify about the kind of person he was. Prosecutors could very soon rest their case. Michael?
All right, Alex.
here's the warrant. Is this real? The warrant on Daunte Wright was unpaid fines for 2 minor misdemeanors, 1 a marijuana case totaling $346. He pled guilty, filed for deferred payment, and they were sent to a collections during a pandemic, and then he was pulled over in a car for air fresheners and killed over it. Wait, hold on. I don't know who this is. I'm sorry. I don't know. This is not verified information yet, okay? That's not fucking verified information. We don't know. That could be the case, but I do not know yet. Sorry, I should not have shown you that. It goes along with what my suspicion is, that you can, or what I've just basically told you, is that you can literally fucking get an outstanding warrant for petty crime and petty misdemeanors and shit like that. So, we'll get into it after, because I know that there's going to be more information coming down on this issue. But there's another story with a Afro-Latino Army officer, Army lieutenant, who had a gun pulled on him and pepper sprayed in a traffic stop. This happened last year, but the video actually resurfaced this year and went viral, and he's suing the cops. The cops immediately were fired once the video went viral. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, though. Before we're just going to before we do that, I'm going to continue on with this story, because I want to see. So the Brooklyn Center Police Chief says a cop shot and killed Daunte Wright by accident. This is an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. Here's the full testimony.
As you can hear, the officer, while struggling with Mr. Wright, shouts "taser, taser" several times. That is part of the officer's training prior to deploying a taser, which is a less lethal device. That is done to make her partners aware, as well as the subject, that a taser deployment will be imminent. During this encounter, however, the officer drew their handgun instead of their taser. For informational purposes, we train with our handguns on our dominant side and our taser on our weak side. So if you're right-handed, I'm going
to play that again.
The officer drew their handgun instead of their taser. For informational purposes, we train with our handguns on our dominant side and our taser on our weak side. So if you're right-handed, you carry your firearm on your right side and you carry your taser on the left. This is done purposefully and is trained. As I watch the video and listen to the officer's commands, It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. This appears to me, from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright.
Okay. So either the cop is so damn incompetent to know which side is his weak side or it was intentional. Okay. It literally doesn't matter. I mean, one is like gross negligence and should be a criminal fucking offense, especially if you're a cop. Like, because here's the reality, okay? Even if you are to believe what he is saying, this should, which many people understandably do not believe what he's saying, because one, a taser weighs, as I mentioned already, 8 ounces, okay? A fully loaded Glock, which is what police officers use in the United States, is 33 ounces. So a fully loaded Glock is going to be, 31.39 ounces. So there is a gigantic weight difference between a fucking taser. A taser also oftentimes is yellow to imply that it's less than lethal, okay? So it's fucking 4 times the weight. Like, maybe in the situation you were really, really, really fucking stressed out and really scared, and you pulled out your Glock and you thought it was your fucking taser and you shot someone. Even if it's a fucking taser, ridiculous that like your immediate go-to is just to fucking tase someone for getting back in their fucking car. Okay? So he took off the safety. It's a Glock, chat. I don't think that Glocks have safeties like that. I think it's a trigger safety, if I'm not mistaken. So for people who are saying it's a safety, it's a Glock. Glocks don't have safety. Learn your fucking guns. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay? Don't come at me with fucking gun knowledge, bitch. Anyway, there's a body cam footage of this entire thing regardless. So, there is like, there will be retribution. Okay? There will be retribution in this situation. I know that in the body cam footage, yes, in the body cam footage, like, she yells, taser, taser, as the fucking police chief just mentioned, and then goes, oh shit, I shot him. Not realizing that, I'm not gonna play it right now, but okay, every time shit like this happens with trigger happy cops who assume the absolute worst from every single interaction, I wonder, how does this shit not happen in other countries like in Europe? Why is it so American? In every regard. It's just, okay, look, let's just keep going. Speaking of which, this ties back into the Derek Chauvin case as well, by the way, because the Chauvin trial judge denies a request for jury sequestration after the police shooting because the defense attorneys for Derek Chauvin literally said, well, this will taint the fucking jury's opinion. Because, unfortunately, in the United States of America, police brutality is so fucking common that, hey, it happened again literally 10 minutes away from the other fucking murder that we are having a current trial for. So the jury can't make a fucking, regular defense here. The jury is not going to be able to, stop themselves from being tainted with other influence of a yet another fucking instance of police murder. Police murdering a black kid. Okay? So, the Chauvin trial judge denied the request for the jury sequestration after the police shooting, but they still tried. That didn't stop them from trying to use this as an opportunity to fucking sequester the jury. So, here it is. Let's hear what.
There's racial profiling that happened in this situation. We are standing in solidarity and calling for the firing of this officer. You have talked about her having due process, although Daunte Wright did not get due process in that situation. She needs to be fired immediately to send a message that this type of behavior will not be condoned within the city of Brooklyn Center.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments.
If an officer can't tell the difference, profiling that happened in this situation, we are standing in solidarity and calling for the firing of this officer. You have talked about her having due process, although Daunte Wright did not get due process.
Fucking bullshit, dude. He's ridiculous. The Brooklyn Center Chief Police abruptly leaves in the middle of the Daunte Wright news conference, leaving the mayor and city manager to answer the questions.
Delay in getting tabs and things of this nature from the DMV. So even people who have purchased tabs are unable to get them because there's a 2 to 3 month backlog. Are you aware of that? And is your staff also aware of that? And have you made any type of recommendations to your staff to be mindful that we're in the middle of a pandemic and don't pull people over for tabs, particularly because there is a significant delay in getting those tabs from the Department of Motor Vehicles? Are you aware of that?
I am aware of
Chief
that.
Police.
I am aware of that.
Is your staff aware of that?
Yes, they are.
Chief.
That was the last question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask you, in that video, the female officer clearly made a fatal mistake. She did
Significant.
It does not matter what color Daunte Wright's skin was. She intended to tase a suspect and end up fatally shooting someone. She can't continue to be a cop. 100%. 100% in agreement there. I think most cops should not fucking be cops. Let's be real. Because of the way that the training works in this country, because of the way the police culture works in this country, most cops that have fucking been tainted by the way that policing operates in the country so far literally are incapable of fucking continuing to be cops because of that. They're just, it's broken. They're broken completely. It's just, it doesn't matter if the victim is black or white. It literally, they're just, like, it cannot continue. On the top, that cop got fired. Same shit happened here with that big group of people who were corralled and tear gas in an alley. Body cam footage from that day was held up in courts by cop lawyers for months. The day that the footage came out, they disciplined a bunch of cops for what they did and said that they only now know that the footage was public. Oh, yeah. Anyway. Why is the U.S. police so poorly trained? It's Brooklyn Center Police are currently flying a blue line flag outside of the station right now. Oh, nice, dude. I don't know if this is real or not. Hold on. Oh, never mind. This is a Star Tribune journalist. Yeah, bro, just burn a cross, brother. Just literally burn a cross, brother. Just straight up, bro. I mean, look, if the biggest fucking victim in your minds in a circumstance where a fucking senior officer executes a 20-year-old black man, okay, in a fucking regular traffic stop, okay, where the person potentially has a warrant for a misdemeanor offense, allegedly, and your big fucking problem in that situation, while there's also simultaneously an ongoing fucking police execution trial going on, your big fucking honoring the victim's moment is literally the cop who might fucking, lose their job, then you're a gigantic piece of shit. The entire fucking department is bullshit. Just carve it out and replace. It's wild. Like, it's wild. You're basically saying, I don't give a fuck about the person that died. I just do not give a fuck about the person that died. I only care about the cop that might fucking get a slap on the wrist. Maybe.
It's my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet. This appears to me, from what I've viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. I have asked the BCA to conduct an independent investigation into the shooting and death. Once they are completed, I expect they will submit their findings, independent of me, to the appropriate authorities, the appropriate attorneys that will look and review this case. I'm also stressing that I do hope for the community to be patient and allow this criminal investigation, to be completed as thoroughly as possible. I believe Mr. Wright deserves this, as do all involved. The officer is currently on administrative leave. Make a short comment about...
If you just listen to the officer, he wouldn't have died. Dude, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up, dude. seriously, like, you are such subhuman filth. It is mind-boggling to me, okay? Like, it is, you are literally subhuman filth. You have no fucking respect for the sanctity of human life. You will never understand why you're wrong. You are just a vile scumbag. Seriously. Like, oh, you didn't listen to me, so now you get murdered is not a fucking thing that happens, okay? That's not a thing. Just get that out of your fucking brain, okay? Get that out of your fucking brain. Please. Seriously, erase the part of your fucking brain, maybe with a lobotomy, where it says that you can actually fucking murder someone for not listening to your demands. If you believe in due process, if you love the concept of America, if you're truly a patriot and you believe the theory that everyone should get their fucking day in court, then you can never, ever have that take. Okay? You can never have that take. If that's your point of view, then leave America. Go somewhere else where cops can play judge, jury, executioner and get away with it. Do you have an actual answer to that? Yes, I do. That's my answer. A police officer does not have or should not have the right to play judge, jury, executioner in any of these circumstances. Okay? They can't. You can't do that. It's fucking ridiculous. And you are basically fucking defending that system.
What happened last night to our community, a community that I've been a part of for 27 years. I've seen some of the worst damage to this city I've ever seen in those years. Again, peaceful protesting, expressing yourself, we fully support that. But the ravaging of our businesses, the looting of our stores, the destruction to our pharmacies, we cannot tolerate that.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, bitch. Okay. What if the suspect hurted an innocent person while running from the cop? Brother, that's not what happened, okay? And that's the innocent person that was executed was the fucking person. So what are you talking about? What if a hypothetical, like, what if in a hypothetical, okay, what if he had a fucking nuke strapped to his chest, dog? What then? You know? Let's just go after all these other fucking different hypotheticals in this situation. Bro, what if the fucking suspect literally had a nuke strapped to his fucking chest and the only way to deactivate the nuke is by executing him? I mean, what if then? I mean, would you say that fucking in this entirely different situation, would you say that it was acceptable to kill the guy? Checkmate, liberal. Okay, dude. You got it. And yeah, now police are in riot gear staged at the Brooklyn Center in Minneapolis or Minnesota. I like this notion that, like, you know, police don't just have presence that is supposed to maintain like this notion of law and order, but now they are literally fucking stopping crimes, which is not even true for the most part. But they're also preventing further crime from happening while, you know, doing the criminal activities themselves, which is like murder. Okay. Like you went from like assuming that cops do something that they usually don't to literally retroactively justifying murder. Okay. You were here, you took something that was up here and you fucking pulled it down to an entirely different place to just defend something that even the police department itself is not defending right now and have admitted that they fucked up. Just remember that. If you find yourself in a position where you are literally fucking defending police murder when the fucking cops themselves are not defending it, just try to figure out why you are this cucked to the American police state. Can't defend the Capitol. Now they are in riot gear again. Yeah. It is mind-boggling to me that fucking regular traffic stops are handled by fully kitted out Gestapo fucks, okay? I'm sorry. That should not happen, okay? The meter maids that don't have fucking weapons should be doing regular traffic stops. It is wild to me that someone needs a fucking AR-15 for a traffic stop, okay? It's wild. It's ridiculous. It's wild to me that in No Pixel Grand Theft Auto roleplay, the fucking operating procedure, the SOP that's written by an actual fucking cop, by the way, literally a real cop wrote the fucking SOP for the police departments in a fucking roleplay server. And even there, they have stricter protocols of using non-lethal versus lethal weapons versus class 2 AR-15 weapons. It's fucking insane, dude. Like, it's literally roleplay. Roleplay world has stricter fucking rules of engagement than the United States of America. God damn it, dude. I'm a Harley service consultant in the local motorcycle clubs of AR-15s in their saddlebags. Good. Great. Anyway, the governor is live right now.
So some of the things that we can do. And
while we're gonna tune into the governor for a second, but before I do that, obviously I gotta run a fucking ad break here. It's top of the hour. It's the first ad break of the day that I gotta run. If you no longer want to see the ad breaks, if you no longer want to see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Well, it's harder to get a gun in Grand Theft Auto 5 than in America. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I imagine it's because dying in NP versus IRL are radically different. I agree with your sentiment, though. Yeah, dying in NP is fucking way more common. And even then, they have stronger fucking rules of engagement. So, yeah. Anyway, here's the fucking ad break now.
Or destruction to property or to put people at risk, it will not be tolerated. And we have known for many months that as this trial and the focus of this nation was on this trial, that there would be those that want to do both. Those that want to bring about change, those that want to express their constitutional rights, those that are angry, heartbroken, sad, fed up, tired, all of the things that they have every reason to feel. But we also know, and we saw it again last night, those that would try and take advantage of this to create chaos or damage will not be tolerated. And the folks you're going to hear from after the mayors speak are our public safety professionals. And that will include everybody from the State Patrol to our local police departments, to our county sheriffs, to our National Guard, and in this organization, to community leaders and to sociologists and psychologists and people who are out there to understand that there's trauma in the community. And simply sometimes having uniformed officers is enough to trigger people and to cause situations to escalate. And those things have been given consideration. So while I can't provide any comfort to the Wright family, what I can tell this state and this nation is Minnesota's a place where we know that you can create space for grievances to be aired and First Amendment rights to be expressed, and you can stop people from creating crimes or doing destruction to property and to people. And the next thing that we can do is we can stop pretending that this is just the natural order of the universe and things happen this way. I'm going to demand that the legislature finally hold some hearings on some of these reforms, as I said, that have passed in other states and have proven to make a difference. Things that are supported by both law enforcement and community members. Things that we know that would reduce the chance of a routine traffic stop escalating into a loss of life. There are things that can be done. There are proposals that are out there. There's proven remedies that can be put into place. But that will never happen if we don't at least hold hearings on these things. If we don't at least get ourselves into an uncomfortable position and do what this democracy is supposed to do and debate the hard things. So I'm calling on the legislature, and I will be calling them later. If we have time to talk about other things, you can certainly find time on your calendar to put things in place that make sure we don't have another Daunte Wright laying on the streets of Brooklyn Center or any community in this state or this country. So those are things that we can do. Those are things that shouldn't be asking that much. Those are things that our communities demand of us. And I can tell you that angst and that trauma that people feel is exacerbated if they feel no one's listening or there's no place to express it. So our commitment with this...
Like, people that say... Sorry, I'm going to pause this fucking live stream for a second. But people that say, oh, Daunte Wright would be alive if he followed cops' orders, literally refuse that interaction was completely unwarranted. They refuse to recognize that Daunte Wright would be alive if fucking police officers did their fucking goddamn jobs correctly and didn't mistake a fucking Glock that weighs 32 pounds or 32 ounces for a taser. He'd be alive right now, more importantly, if he wasn't fucking pulled over for having air fresheners in his car, okay? He'd be alive right now if misdemeanor felonies or misdemeanor offenses did not warrant an insane fucking arrest warrant because you tried to get a deferral on your payment for some kind of fucking charge that you got in the middle of goddamn COVID, okay? There are so many different structural problems that you should be pointing to before you say, why don't you just literally fucking stop everything and obey when cops stop you and fucking scare the shit out of you with like actual guns while there's literally an ongoing fucking police brutality case going on in a court that's like 30 minutes away from where you live, because 10 minutes away from where you got shot last night and murdered, someone else was executed in broad daylight, and motherfuckers are still arguing on whether or not that was murder.
Amongst law enforcement agency and community, never before seen in Minnesota. But I'm telling you, and you saw it yesterday, until we make the proactive change to do the things to prevent it, continuing to stand up organizations like we've done here to put out the fire after it's been lit will simply not work. So
you just can't gloss over resisting arrest. I'm not glossing over it. I'm saying that it should not have even happened. There should be no resisting arrest. And resisting arrest does not warrant execution, no matter what. I'm not glossing over it. You're just refusing to recognize what I'm saying. Listen to the words that come out of my mouth. Refusing arrest in that situation does not warrant an execution. Okay? Resisting arrest in that instance does not warrant an execution. Listen to what I am saying. There are very few circumstances in which a police officer should be able to pull out their gun and fucking shoot. Okay? This does not meet that metric in any meaningful capacity, okay? The only time a cop should be escalating to violent force is literally if the other person has a fucking gun and has shot it, or you are super clear that they're going to shoot it at you or someone else. That's it.
Have not. We have such a long way to go, and the cruel duality of mourning yet another officer-involved shooting, while we're simultaneously adjudicating at a trial yet another officer-involved killing, is cruel. It is just that, it is cruel. And what appears to be a careless and tragic mistake in a profession where you just can't make careless and tragic mistakes has not only further eroded trust between law enforcement and the communities that they serve, that they are charged with serving, but has been even more injurious to our communities of color, to our BIPOC communities in Minneapolis. And I recognize that the press conference that we saw earlier in Brooklyn Center is unthinkably disturbing. We recognize that the feeling and the sentiment in our city and in our region right now, especially for our Black and brown communities, is raw. And the anguish that we saw and witnessed that was captured in Kate...
Okay, I don't care about this. All right. Let's just continue with this. There is, we already talked about the key moments in Derek Chauvin's trial already, which is ongoing. I talked about that as well with regards to... I talked about the Chauvin trial already and how the defense attorneys tried to get try to sequester the jury because of yet another police brutality case occurring 10 minutes away from where George Floyd was executed in the hands of Derek Chauvin. So that was the judge refused that. And now we have the cardiologist, Dr. Jonathan Rich, talking about this. This is like one of the new instances, or one of the latest, some of the latest information that's coming out of the trial that's currently ongoing. That reconfirms the suspicions that everyone basically had, that it was asphyxiation and murder that took place last year. No, I can't play the body cam footage in. Who requested the trial move? Prosecution or defense? No, defense, of course. Defense wanted to move the trial because they thought that the jury would be tainted by yet another police brutality, or yet another police violent execution of yet another black individual who's unarmed. So, oh, this presser was much better. Better reporters, great reporters. Yeah, I don't want to play the entire thing. What? I'm not going to play the body cam footage, guys. It's literally fucking terms of service to show someone being murdered. Regardless, it's amazing how shit has spin every situation to justify the murder of his kid when cops weren't even trying to kill him. Yeah, I know. Okay, he should have just let himself be arrested so they could sit on his neck for 10 minutes. Yeah, that's at least they don't get paid more to beat up people like in my country. What? They kind of do though. Okay. Let's continue on. There was a bunch of other things I want to show you. I think Steven Crowder is already like fucking defending this shit, but here's a Fox News correspondent. When you have something like an accidental discharge, people aren't going to say that it's justified, and they're still going to default to the belief that Black Lives Matter and that they think that black people are treated somehow otherwise. I mean, what's the take here? Like, do you think that fucking cops would have deployed their non-lethal or lethal weapons in a regular fucking traffic stop for a wealthy white person in this same respect? No. Of course, the racism is like straight up fucking all over this. And regardless, black or white, the suspect being executed is still unjust no matter what. If a white woman resisted arrest, she would have been shot, Hassan. Fucking okay.
Believe the reaction and the build-up to tonight?
All I can tell you is the reaction I've seen here on the street, and I think there is still a great deal of anger. And you get different people like Ben Crump putting things out on social media. So things are not necessarily any less angry because you still have a young black man who has been killed at the
It's the belief that Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I know. That's a great, that's an accidental self-report right there.
Does this change, do you believe, the reaction?
People like Ben Crump putting things out on social media. So things are not necessarily any less angry because you still have a young black man who has been killed at the hands of police. And when you have something like an accidental discharge, people aren't going to say that it's justified, and they're still going to default to the belief that police, that Black Lives Matter, and they think that black people are treated somehow otherwise. What you do have out here on the ground, though, is bad weather. When it's cold, when it's wet, and it's miserable like this, it does have a tendency to tamp down the crowd. Sandra?
Hey, does this
You were spot on with the intent, starting with pulling over a kid for a fucking air freshener. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Why are air fresheners not allowed to be in your car? That's something I don't understand. Like, why the fuck would air fresheners not be allowed? What? Because it's illegal to have air fresheners in your car? Because they impair vision or something? Is that what it is? Obstruction of view? Well, I have a fucking, I have a literal fucking lanyard that the local ordinance requires me to put on my car. That shit impairs your vision too. You know, it's so fucking stupid. But hey, I'm pretty fucking white passing, so I don't think anyone is assuming that I'm like masking the scent of marijuana in my car. So I don't think I'll I don't think I've ever been I mean I've never been pulled over for that. Anyway. Okay. The air freshener code enforcement is just arbitrary law enforcement. Dudes pulled over for driving while black. Yeah. I know it hides the fucking scent of marijuana technically, and that's what the suspicion is, especially if you're pairing that up with being black. Okay? That's the suspicion in that regard, is that like, oh, black guy, young black guy has fucking air fresheners in his car, obviously is masking the scent of marijuana. Remember, Philando Castile, also in the same vicinity, was murdered by Geronimo Yanez at a lawful, like he was abiding by all of the lawful orders that the cop was giving him, and he was still executed in front of his little girl sitting in the back seat, and the cop who executed him got away because he said, well, he smelled like marijuana, so I was in fear of my life. Okay? That's a real fucking situation. Anyway, let's move on to another police brutality story that I have been meaning to talk about, which is, before we get into Matt Gaetz and stuff like that, here is the traffic stop in Virginia where cops pulled a gun on an Afro-Latino Army officer, okay, a lieutenant, I think, in Virginia. This happened last year, but the reason why the cops were fired recently was because this was escalated again and went viral recently. By the way, the person that they're pulling over drives into a gas station because he wants to be in public and in, you know, with a environment that's like brightly lit, so that, you know, what happened here literally doesn't happen. He's also in his fucking military garb.
Fall back.
Felony traffic stop.
Put your hands out the window!
Felony traffic stop, 1836.
Put your hands out the window! Turn the vehicle off! Put your hands out the window! How many occupants?
All units 1013.
How many occupants are in the vehicle?
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
Open the door slowly and step out! Open the door!
I'm not getting out the vehicle. What's going on?
Get out the car! Open the door slowly and get out!
So he doesn't pull over immediately. He instead put on his emergency lights and continued driving under the speed limit and safely parked less than a mile down the road. And he said he wanted to go to a brightly lit area.
What's going on?
Get out of the car! Now! Open the door and get out of the car!
Hold still. Hold. Keep your hands outside the window. Keep your hands
hands outside the window.
My hands are right here. What's going on?
Get out of the car now.
Get out of the car.
What's
now.
going on?
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now.
I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated?
Yo, what? Guess what? I'm a veteran too. I'm gonna obey. Get out of the car.
What's going on?
Get out of the car now.
They said when a person drives through a lit area, cops assume that they're black.
What's going on?
What's going on? You fixing to ride the lightning, son.
I'm sorry, what?
Get out of the car now.
What's going on?
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Sir, just get out of the car. Work with us and we'll talk to you. Get out the car.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out.
What?
You should be. You should be afraid to get out. Like that. First of all, what the fuck is this like gangster ass fucking side? Like he's just like tilted his gun and shit. Like, what are you doing, bro? What the fuck are you doing? You should be. You fucking hot dog motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. One of them is like, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. The other one's like, you should be literally fearful for your life. Like, what are you, a gangster? Fire this motherfucker. Fuck this guy.
What's going on? What
Get
did
out
I
the
do?
car.
Get out now.
I have not committed any crimes.
You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now. You're under arrest
For a traffic-
you're being detained. Okay, you're being detained for
For a
obstruction of justice.
traffic violation, I do not have to get out the vehicle. You haven't even told
Really?
me why I'm being stopped.
Really?
Get your hands.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me,
Get out of
please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me.
Back up,
I
Daniel.
didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir,
Get out of the car
Don't do
now.
that.
Hey, sir,
Get out of the
do
car
that.
now.
Don't do.
look,
I'm trying to talk
get out.
to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to
I'm
talk.
gonna talk to
Get
you.
out.
Just get out of
Relax.
my car.
Can you please
Get out.
relax? Can
Get
you
out.
please relax?
Get out of the car right now. Now.
This is not how you treat a
This is what happens when you have fucking thumbs, dude. Like, I mean, literally, physically, when you have a fucking human thumb, when you have a human thumb operating like a human being, you know, trying to do fucking police work, well, this is what happens. Like, why is it that the fucking guy you're detaining is trying to de-escalate the situation while the cop is literally like, nah, fuck that de-escalation. It's time, baby. It's fucking gamer time. I mean, literally, it's just not, nope, sorry. I'm gonna fucking kill you, dude. Sorry. Gonna have to fucking kill you, brother.
That I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me.
Back up, Daniel.
I didn't do any.
Back up.
Whoa, hold on.
Back
What's going? Hold on. Watch it.
And for everything deployed.
Look at this piece of shit, dude.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car now. Car now.
Sir, just get out of the car.
I'm trying to breathe.
Get out of the car now.
That's up. That's really up.
Yeah, get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get it again.
I don't even want to reach my seatbelt. Can you?
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
Can you please?
Get out of the car now. Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car.
Look, I'm just gonna please.
You're gonna do as you're told. Get out of the car.
Look.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the.
Look.
Take your seatbelt off.
Look, my hands are out.
Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car.
My hands are out.
Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there.
My hands are out. Please.
Like, he's saying, take your seatbelt off and get out of the car now, while simultaneously, like, he's very clearly afraid that he does not want to fucking touch his own seatbelt because one officer said, I mean, he's literally, the same cop is giving him conflicting orders. He's saying, keep your hands outside of the car, while also saying, you know, take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. In order for you to get out of the car, you literally have to put your hands back inside. He doesn't want to fucking die, okay? Like, the reason why he is not able to obey the lawful order in this situation is because he's not trying to fucking die. And the reason why he wasn't executed here is very likely because he disobeyed the original fucking lawful order of putting his hands in the vehicle and taking off his seatbelt. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. That's probably the reason why he only got fucking pepper sprayed and he didn't get fucking full-blown executed here. Okay? The same shit happens all the time. Cops love playing fucking Simon Says with motherfuckers when they are just power tripping hardcore and then they end up executing them. It happened with Daniel Shaver as well in Arizona.
Please, look. This is really messed up. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right now.
Get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off. What are you, a specialist, corporal? What are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult.
Dude, like, this is a fucking lieutenant in the U.S. Army. Motherfucker's got his garb on. Like, I'm telling you right now, dude, this guy getting treated this way means, like, it's just everybody. Everybody's out there, okay? Like, this dude is supposed to be, like, I thought we fucking venerated our veterans. You know, I thought we loved our fucking vets and active duty service members. Look at the way you're fucking treating this guy. Because he's black first. Let's be real. Okay? He's black first, military second.
It had to be. You just complied. Get out of the car.
I'm reaching for my seatbelt.
Fine. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Straight on the ground. Straight onto the ground. Ma'am.
Is your commanding officer available?
Down. Let's go.
Is your commanding officer available?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Please talk to me.
Get on the
about
ground
what's
now.
going on.
Get on the ground. You're getting sprayed again. Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me about what's
Get
going
on the ground.
on?
Get on the ground now.
Can you please talk to me
Get on
about
the
what's
ground.
going on?
Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me about what's
Yes, sir.
going on?
You're not.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating. Get on the ground.
Why am I being treated like this? This is really messed up.
So now the cop got fired recently. You want to know why the cop got fired recently, even though this was a thing that happened a while ago? You want to know why the investigation started now? Because the video went viral recently, okay? That's why, motherfucker. That's why. Because there was backlash. Because it's never about like an individual action occurring that ends up harming you or whatever. It's literally about people finding out about it, okay?
As the officer's body cameras and Nazario's cell phone were all rolling.
What's going on?
Now.
Nazario, who is black and Latino and was wearing his military uniform, asks repeatedly why he's being detained.
I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated.
One of the responding officers appears to make a reference to the electric chair, according to the lawsuit.
What's going on? You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
And then this exchange.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out. Back up.
Whoa,
Officer Joe Gutierrez then pepper sprays Nazario in the face.
Hold on. That's up.
Overnight in a statement, the town acknowledged the unfortunate events. Officer Gutierrez has since been terminated by the Windsor Police. Now a civil suit alleging a violation of constitutional rights.
My client wants to prevent those two officers from doing it to anyone else.
Nazario admits in his complaint that he didn't immediately pull over, driving nearly 2 minutes with his hazard lights on so he could stop at a well-lit gas station. In a report, one of the responding officers writes, "The driver was actively resisting when I attempted to unlock and open the driver's..."
Dude, that's such bullshit, dude. And it fucking shows in the goddamn... It shows perfectly in the fucking... Here, let's just start from the top. Sorry.
The initial call for a felony traffic stop immediately...
The reason why I wanted to go through this, it started halfway through, is because I thought that it was just going to re-show the entire body camera footage without any sort of commentary, but let's start from the top.
Turned tense, with officers pulling their weapons.
Put your hands out the window!
A Windsor police officer says in his report he spotted a vehicle with dark tinted windows and no license plate displayed that was eluding police. Though a lawsuit says a paper license plate was visible in the rear window of the new car.
How many occupants are in the vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
The two officers demanding U.S. Army Lieutenant Karin Nazario exit the SUV as the officer's body cameras and Nazario's cell phone were all rolling.
What's going on?
Now.
Nazario, who is black and Latino and was wearing his military uniform, asks repeatedly why he's being detained.
I'm serving this country and this is how I'm treated.
One of the responding officers appears to make a reference to the electric chair, according to the lawsuit.
What's going on? You're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
And then this exchange.
To ride the lightning, boys. Ride the lightning is a, I think, Like it could be a bunch of different things, but it's more often it's used as a term for capital punishment. It's the electric chair. Some might say it's about the taser, but the most common fucking term for it is the electric chair, but Metallica had a fucking studio album for it. Death in the air, strapped in the electric chair. This can't be happening to me. It's But the article on the U.S. Army Reserve official website titled "Ride the Lightning" describes the process in which by a particular group of trainees learned the full capabilities of the X-26E taser. So since the guy was a veteran as well, I think he just meant usage of the taser there. It doesn't matter. I don't know why we're fucking parsing through the words. Basically, regardless, no matter what the fuck happens there, he's still literally like trying to fucking tase a dude for no reason. It's slang for the chair, but it could also mean that he was like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna tase the fuck out of you. You're like excited to get tased. That is a taser, by the way. For those of you who are wondering, that's literally a taser. So yeah, the guy who had he didn't have his lethal out when he said you're fixing to ride the lightning. He had his taser out. So So he's saying like, I'm gonna fucking tase you. You're get excited to be tased. Now, here's the thing. Why the fuck are you trying to tase a dude who literally didn't do anything? Like, what's going on? That's not fucking de-escalation. That's escalation. That's unwarranted escalation. His partner had his lethal out, but it doesn't matter. He had fucking, he's the one who said you're fixing to ride the lightning, son.
Change. I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out. Back up.
Whoa,
Officer Joe Gutierrez then pepper sprays Nazario in the face.
Hold on. That's up.
Overnight in a statement, the town acknowledged the unfortunate events. Officer Gutierrez has since been terminated by the Windsor Police. Now a civil suit alleging a violation of constitutional rights.
My client wants to prevent those two officers from doing it to anyone else.
Nazario admits in his complaint that he didn't immediately pull over, driving nearly 2 minutes with his hazard lights on so he could stop at a well-lit gas station.
So here's the thing, boys. This, much like every other instance of police brutality, is tied to one another. This is no different than what happened to Daunte Wright last night. And the reason why this is no different than what happened to Daunte Wright last night is because what happened here is exactly what could have happened here is exactly what happened to Daunte Wright last night. This is a fear that many black men specifically go through with every fucking police stop. The reasons for why he was stopped to begin with are very similar to one another in both instances. I believe he had dealership plates on. That's the reason why he was stopped. In Virginia, Daunte Wright was stopped because they didn't have tags. He didn't have tags on his license plate, and also for air fresheners. It's a bullshit moving violation. It's a bullshit fucking traffic stop that ends up with an escalation of force that literally ends up with like the other person being permanently damaged or fucking murdered in the instance of Daunte.
Report, one of the responding officers writes, the driver was actively resisting. When I attempted to unlock and open the driver's door, the driver assaulted myself by striking my hand away.
The Supreme Court has held since 1977 that even for a routine traffic stop, officers have the power and the discretion to order a driver out of the car.
We reached out to Officer Joe Gutierrez overnight. So far, we have not heard back after Virginia's Governor Ralph Northam.
The problem is, during COVID, by the way, a big issue with fucking plates not being, like plates not having like up-to-date tags and shit. And I literally went through this myself recently, as you all know, is that the DMV is super backed up. Okay? The DMV is super backed up right now, so they cannot fucking. They're not open. They're super backed up as a consequence of COVID. They can't manage the influx of requests. So a lot of people have expired tags. A lot of people have expired registration. I've been driving around with a fucking expired registration for a year. And I've been waiting. Like, I literally waited for nearly 6 months for the DMV in California to finally fucking cycle through and get to my request. I sent them the money and everything else like that. And you know, they were finally able to do that. But that's why there's leniency. That's why there's supposed to be some kind of fucking leniency, okay? And there isn't.
He's described this incident as disturbing, and he has directed the Virginia State Police to conduct an independent investigation.
Shut the fuck up. It's not that hard here in LA. I don't understand why people literally say this when I am describing my personal experience that I have documented on this stream for a very long time. Like, you're literally saying this, but I waited 6 months after I paid all of my fines and everything else for my registration to finally come back. So I don't know why you're saying like it's literally not that way in LA when I'm in LA and I already did this and I'm telling you my personal anecdote. I just don't know. I don't know why people would be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't fucking matter that you had a hard time. I had an easy time, so fuck you is kind of weird. Like, kind of a weird fucking take. Anyway, there's a curfew in the Twin Cities tonight. Yeah, there's 7 p.m. curfews that are going into effect for the Twin Cities metro area after the Daunte Wright shooting.
A foreseeable effects
death.
of the officer's actions. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Apparently, the Hennepin County attorney Mike Freeman, concerning the recent tragic shooting at Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, is moving the case to Washington County Attorney's Pete Orpit's office as well. There's a Biden take on it already? What the fuck? Oh, Joseph Robinette had a take on it apparently already. Love that.
I haven't called Daunte Wright's family, but our prayers with their family. It was really a tragic thing that happened. But I think we got to wait and see what the investigation shows. And
just like fucking Christ, dude.
The entire investigation. You all watched, I assume, as I did, the film, which is fairly the body cam, which is fairly graphic. The question is, was it an accident? Was it intentional? That remains to be determined by a full-blown investigation. But in the meantime, I want to make it clear again, there is absolutely no justification, none, for looting.
Isn't that kind of weird that he's like simultaneously looking for a justification for lowering the murder charge, but absolutely no justification for what comes after? Like, it kind of straight up tells you what most motherfuckers' priorities lie at. Like, he's like, there's there could be a justification for accidental manslaughter rather than, actual straight up murder, but there is no justification for the looting as a consequence of this. The rioting is a consequence of this. Immediately calling it looting and rioting. I find that real strange. That that's the go-to. Again, if that is your straight up point of view, if that's like what you launch immediately, it kind of shows your priorities are twisted. Feel me?
No justification for violence. peaceful protest, understandable. I haven't called Daunte Wright's family, but
Anyway. Amazon union vote might be done over. So we'll see what happens there. We'll be covering it more in this week. The Amazon Bessemer vote. People don't just riot because people don't riot just because I'm making excuses for the cops. A police officer should have less capacity for accidents than a private citizen. If a private citizen did what the officer did, you can bet they're catching a murder charge, with the exception of wealthy white people or people connected to the police department. Yeah. So the issue is, like, a lot of people, whenever they're talking about these sorts of cases, most people come across as like way fucking out of touch. And the reason why they come across as out of touch is because they refuse to recognize the hurt, the pain, the anger that people justifiably feel as a consequence of the ongoing cases of police brutality that seemingly are never ending. They are the reason why so many people are legitimately fearful for their lives. What we just watched in Virginia is that's precisely why what we just watched in Virginia is directly tied to what happened in Minneapolis. Okay, what happened in the Twin Cities? Like, it's all tied to one another. It all goes back to systemic racism, specifically within the police department, specifically with the way that police operate in this country, without any sort of fucking accountability whatsoever. It is intergenerational conflict and racialized violence that people have been subjected to time and time again, and its socioeconomic impact on contemporary African Americans in the United States of America. That's why we talk about the same problems over and over again, constantly and consistently, and they rarely ever get addressed. So if you don't understand why people are fucking angry, salute a big TV, that'll fix it. In a lot of these issues, in a lot of these circumstances, like, motherfuckers aren't even like looting big TVs, by the way. That is people fucking frustrated. People frustrated as a consequence of people getting understandably and justifiably angry. They get met with further police brutality, which then escalates a peaceful protest to a non-peaceful protest, which then ends up fucking blowing up in different parts. And it's never like, oh, I'm going to go and loot a fucking TV, which is why you have to go back to like racialized tropes and be like, oh, they're stealing a TV, so it'll make me feel better. I'm not even justifying the looting and rioting. I'm simply stating that it is understandable that if you are protesting police brutality peacefully, as is the case with like nearly every single one of these original riots and the way that they start, you're protesting it peacefully, then it turns non-peaceful because cops escalate in every single circumstance. Cops who have the capacity to control that fucking mob, right? Or to control the peaceful protest in general and not let it turn into a mob, will then turn it into a violent situation by tear gassing motherfuckers. Okay? Just because it's bad optics, and in some instances it like literally trickles to uninsured local businesses and shit like that, does not change the reality that people feel as though they have no other option. And when you're pushed into a fucking corner and you're still being brutalized, when you're trying to make demands and you're still being brutalized by the same force that you are trying to enforce accountability over, of course it's going to fucking go into a violent place. It's great though that your immediate rush to say that it is about like fucking getting a new TV for yourself is nice. You sound just like your grandfather and just like your fucking racist ass, inbred ass father did before you. Okay? I'm glad that you're continuing the tradition of like assuming that every black person is just rioting and looting to fucking steal a TV. No, it's great. Yeah. Oh, steal sneakers too, right? Like that's what it is, right? They're stealing sneakers and TVs. Yeah, don't listen to the fucking message from any of these organizations that are trying to desperately help you hear out what their problems are, and just focus on like, oh, well, I'm just going to assume that they're trying to steal TVs. Thank you, Dervon Kurenberg, for the 10 tier 1 gift subs. Here. This is perhaps the greatest video on like looting and whatnot as well. Here.
Of the people making commentary. Interestingly enough, the ones I've noticed that have been making the commentary are wealthy black people making the commentary about we should not be.
Hold on, I gotta pee. I'll be back. But this is a really good video.
Looting, we should not be tearing up our own communities. And then there's been an argument of the other side of we should be hitting them in the pocket. We should be focusing on the blackout days where we don't spend money. But you know, I feel like we should do both. And I feel like I support both. And I'll tell you why I support both. I support both because when you have a civil unrest like this, there are three types of people in the streets. There are the protesters, there are the rioters, and there are the looters. The protesters are there because they actually care about what is happening in the community. They want to raise their voices, and they are there strictly to protest. You have the rioters who are angry, who are anarchists, who really just want to shit up, and that's what they're going to do regardless. And then you have the looters. And the looters almost exclusively are just there to do that, to loot. Now, people are like, well, what did you gain? Well, what did you get from looting? I think that as long as we're focusing on the what, we're not focusing on the why, and that's my issue with that. As long as we're focusing on what they're doing, we're not focusing on why they're doing. And some people are like, well, those aren't people who are legitimately angry about what's happening. Those are people who just want to get stuff. Okay, well then, let's go with that. Let's say that's what it is. Let's ask ourselves why in this country in 2020, the financial gap between poor blacks and the rest of the world is at such a distance that people feel like their only hope and only opportunity to get some of the things that we flaunt and flash in front of them all the time is to walk through a broken glass window and get it. That they are so hopeless that getting that necklace, getting that TV, getting that change, getting that bed, getting that phone, whatever it is that they're gonna get, is that in that moment when the riots happen and if they present an opportunity of looting, that's their only opportunity to get it. We need to be questioning that why. Why are people that poor? Why are people that broke? Why are people that food insecure, that clothing insecure, that they feel like their only shot, that they are shooting their shot by walking through a broken glass window to get what they need? And then people want to talk about, well, there's plenty of people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and got it on their own. Why can't they do that? Let me explain to you something about economics in America. And I'm so glad that as a child, I got an opportunity to spend time at Push where they taught me this, is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're gonna catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the f do I give a shit about burning the Football Hall of Fame, about burning the Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give up. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so your Target, your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Okay. That is probably the most elaborate way to describe 400 years of slavery, racist Jim Crow South, and the intergenerational trauma, the exploitation, and the remnants of said economic inequality within our current structures that we exist under. It's super eloquent. I really like the I really like this video a lot. None of these people are or were ever slaves. You're right, dude. I think going forward, when you say stuff like this, you should basically be signing off a contract for me to enslave you, your father, your entire family, and the 7 generations that come afterwards. Like, if you get to say some fucking, some real Caucasian shit like that, going forward, I'm just going to enslave, rape, and murder your fucking family in a video game, I guess. Because since it's not that big of a deal, you seem to not recognize that it's a fucking big deal, then maybe it should happen to you until you understand. Maybe it should happen to you, your children, your children's children, your children's children's children, just, ripped away from their existence, treated like fucking non-humans, and enslaved, raped, murdered, pillaged, robbed of their identity. And then after, maybe then you'll be able to comprehend it. But you won't. You won't be able to comprehend it. It's never going to happen. So shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. All we can do is, all we can do in this circumstance is just like ban morons like this and move on. You know what I mean? So this isn't about, so what is the solution? Easy to criticize history in retrospect, brother. So the problem here, and this is a problem that I see in America all the time, okay, by Americans, is like, you're not supposed to constantly be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so sorry for my ancestors that enslaved yours. Like, you're not supposed to have that, like, overcorrective, super lib, like, performative fucking woke shit, okay? It starts with recognizing the impact that this economic inequality and violence that black people are subjected to has on today's society. But you don't want to have that conversation. You can't even fucking start off by admitting that this is very, very fucking bad. And it still has an impact in contemporary black existence. If you can't fucking start with that, then we can't start having a conversation. Okay? Like, you can't. You don't have to. You don't need to have fucking literally enslaved black people. Or you don't need to have. You don't have to be a literal fucking slave to exist in American society and either reap the benefits of the economic impact that slavery had on American development, or rather suffer the consequences of being born as a black person in the United States or being born as a black person in general. I don't know how to fucking describe this to people who literally refuse. Like, you're just refusing to comprehend that having your identity removed, okay? Having your fucking cultural identity, your ethnic identity, everything removed, stripped away, and having been having been brutalized for fucking decades and decades and decades, centuries and centuries, and enslaved, is not going to give you a significant disadvantage. I just don't know. Like, do you think that the world started the day that you were born? This is where all this shit comes from, okay? The world doesn't start and stop when you go to sleep and then fucking, you know, you start off with a new slate, with a clean slate every morning when you wake up. Even after all of that, if your point of view is like, well, she wasn't literally enslaved, then it's so fucking hard to get you to comprehend this shit, you know? Now, this isn't a justification for, you know, burning down Target. Some may misunderstand this. This is an explanation for why people feel like they are not being heard. You understand? Stop saying it is, you fucking, you cringe lefties who are like, it is. We should burn down every Target. Like, shut the fuck up. You literally live in Naperville, in a white ass fucking neighborhood, away from like literally every black and brown person, and you're talking about it like it's a, no, it is. Like, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Okay? I'm over it. Like, shut the fuck up. Yes, it is. Burn down Target. It's like, dude, shut up. Anyway. This is simply an explanation as to why people react in such, in certain instances, violent ways against property that can still ultimately be replaced, okay? In yet another instance of unaddressed police brutality. Okay, it's top of the hour. I'm going to run a fucking 60-second ad break here. And we're going to move on from this to some other news stories, which there's plenty of today. So, Naperville's the new DMZ. No, Naperville's a perfect example because of its proximity to Chicago and its you know, demographic and socioeconomic makeup. That's why I always use Naperville as an example. It's like Ann Arbor is another good example, okay? Motherfuckers who live in Ann Arbor but then like turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I'm from Detroit, bro. I'm from Flint, bro." Like, no, you're not. You're from Ann Arbor, okay? You grew up in Ann Arbor in a very wealthy neighborhood, and your parents are doctors. Like, shut the fuck up. The same exact thing happened to you. You grew up in fucking Naperville in a like predominantly white neighborhood in a mostly white fucking school, And now you're saying you went to Chicago. Like, you grew up in fucking Chicago. Like, you didn't. Anyway. Okay. No, I ran an ad before. It's just my second of the day now. Here's the 1-minute ad. If you no longer want to see the ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. You get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Here's the ad now. Thank you for saying this. I'm from actual Chicago and I deal with this all the time. Okay. Malibu's Most Wanted type beat. Yeah, I already finished the video. I just went back and scaled it back to a place where she's on camera for a second. Okay.